Throughout history, there are good kings who care for their people and make wise choices. Then there are bad kings. The ones who care about their own success and make poor decisions that could really hurt their people. But there's a king who is above all kings, and he is God, and he is love. His love is so big for all people. But to understand how big God's love is for you, we must start from the beginning. Remember, God created all things. He made the first man and the first woman, and they had a strong relationship with God, and everything was good. Until one day, Adam and Eve were tempted in the garden, and they sinned. From that moment on, sin entered the world. Everyone born into this world would live with sin inside of their hearts. People would sin against God. They were stealing, they were killing, saying things they shouldn't say, and giving their attention to anything other than God. And this made God very sad. He was sad because he loved people and he wanted a relationship with us. But we were broken and sinful. We needed to be fixed. No one on earth could ever fix our brokenness other than our King, God. God had a plan. God never gave up on loving us, and his plan would fix our relationship with him forever. And you may ask, how on earth could God do that? Well, he demonstrates his love for us through his son, Jesus. God sent Jesus to be born on this earth. He was fully God and fully man. He had an earthly mother and a father. He would grow up like any other boy. He had to learn how to walk and to talk and even needed potty training. Crazy, huh? He would grow up to be a man. And even though he grew up to be a man, he was still fully God. He was perfect. Never sinned, not even once. He was tempted, but he never failed. Jesus loved his Father, God, so much that he was completely obedient to what he had said. You see, Jesus knew his true Father. He knew why God sent him here on this earth, to bring people back to God. Jesus knew that he would have to give his life to save ours. So let's rewind and then come back. Remember, sin entered the world. We did wrong against God and still continue to do that today. We couldn't live up to God's standards because we were filled with sin. We deserved punishment and death because of our sin. But God, our King, continued to love us. We needed someone perfect to beat our sin, and that someone was Jesus. So let's go back to Jesus. Jesus would show us how to live and love God and others. He would teach his disciples or followers everything they needed to know to follow God. He would perform miracles, demonstrating his power and love. He would help the blind see, the lame walk, and eventually would give his life to save everyone that will call him Lord. One day, Jesus was blamed for something he didn't even do. Remember, he never did anything wrong. He was perfect. But people couldn't fully understand why this man would claim to be the Son of God. He didn't look like your average king, so they sent him to be crucified on a cross. Jesus allowed them to arrest him and beat him and hang him on a cross. Now, let's stop for a moment. We deserve this punishment. Jesus didn't do anything wrong, but he came to save us from sin. And how did he do that? Well, he went and died on the cross. They brought him down and they placed him in the tomb, but he didn't stay dead because 3 days later, he beat death. He rose from the grave. He loved us to the point that he would give up his life for us. How awesome is it to know that God would love us that deeply, that he would send his son to conquer death so that we can have a relationship with a loving Father and King. God is truly the King of Kings.